Hello and welcome to the Checking In podcast. I'm Gabrielle from the Barossa Library.
And I'm Tess, also from the Barossa Library. We have created this podcast to connect with our community.
Libraries are for everyone, and we invite you to join us each episode as we deliver the library in a different way.
In this podcast, we'll be speaking to a variety of interesting people from all walks of life.
Plus, keep you updated with all the library happenings and so much more. The Barossa Council acknowledges the Ngadjuri, Paramank and Kaurna people and their ancestral connection to land and pays respects to elders past, present and emerging. In Chapter 3, we chat to a number of library borrowers to find out their experiences of libraries.
I think we were both surprised at the diverse reasons that people come to visit the library or use the library service. It does prove that libraries are more than just books.
Let's hear what they had to say.
We first caught up with Corbin, a local student, to find out why he visits the library.
Welcome, Corbin, to the Checking In podcast. Can I ask you, why do you visit the library?
It's just the amount of things that you can look at in the books and then also seeing the imagination that can come out of everything you see. It's just an amazing concept to me.
Absolutely. I love that as well. I think there's so much imagination to be found in libraries and the books within and some of the programs that we run as well. Corbin, do you come along to any of the regular library programs that we hold?
Normally in school holidays we come in for most of the activities because we're free most of the time, and also for STEAM on Fridays.
Now, I know what STEAM is, and you certainly know what STEAM is, but I'm sure a lot of our listeners don't know what STEAM Club is. So would you mind just explaining that?
Well, STEAM Club is something held every Friday, so people can come along if they book the STEAM Club. And it's run by different people each week, but it's basically activities that are fun, but yet trick kids into learning something educational.
And I'll just add in also there that we do also run STEAM Club on a Wednesday afternoon at Lindop, and you do have to book in for that as well.
Corbin, would you like to share what your favourite thing about the library is, or even perhaps a favourite book that you have?
So I don't really have a favourite book. It's basically a favourite series that I've read. It's Investigators, two alligators being investigators. That was the best series I've ever read. And I like the library because of the community, just the nice people that you can meet and the amazing. I love it.
Now, the library runs lots of different services. Do you use anything like Libby or BorrowBox, or do you ever place items that you might want to read on hold?
I use Libby, and I feel like it's the best thing to use for that because it's like you don't have to go to the library. You just have to stay in the house and you can just click a button and it's on hold for you, or you're borrowing it. So you can just listen or read a book right from the comfort of your own home.
Thank you so much, Corbin. We love that you come along to the library, and that you're such an avid reader as well is fantastic, and you're enjoying the STEAM Club. So good to have you on Checking In today. Thank you.
Corbin spoke really well, didn't he?
He was great.
He mentioned STEAM Club. I'd just like to say that STEAM Club stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, Art and Mathematics. So it can be any one of those subjects. STEAM Club runs at the Lindop Library, 3:45 on a Wednesday afternoon, or the Nuriupta Library, 3:45 on a Friday afternoon. And you can book through the council website at barossa.sa.gov.au. Now, I don't think we've mentioned before the Home Library Service. Home Library Service provides a once-a-month delivery service to those customers unable to physically get to a library. Now, this doesn't have to be a permanent arrangement. For some customers, it might only be for a couple of months until they get back on their feet again.
I accompanied Megan, our Home Library Service Coordinator, during one of her delivery runs and spoke to two Home Library Service clients, Rosemary and Jean. Thank you so much for joining us today, Rosemary, on the Checking In podcast. It's lovely to have you with us.
You're welcome.
My first question is, why do you visit or use the library?
Because I'm a big reader and because I spend a lot of time at home, I'm happy with what the library give me.
And I understand that you're a home library service client. Are you able to tell us a little bit about what that means?
A great deal to me because of not being able to get around, not driving anymore. I really appreciate that I have the books delivered to the door.
Is there a volunteer that comes to your house to deliver those books, and how often do they come?
Kathy comes every month, and if she can't come, somebody else delivers, and we have a chat.
Yeah, we have a great small team of volunteers in the home library space, and is that a really important thing for you, is having that social visit every month as well?
Yeah, it's somebody different that I see. Yeah, and it's very important that you know who is delivering your books, and I'm happy with what they select.
So do you put forward, maybe do you ask for certain authors or types of books?
Yes, I like Australian writers and history and that. I love Daniel Steele. And I like English history, going back to the war. I've read some really, really great books from the library.
Rosemary, is there anything else regarding the library or home library service that you'd like to tell us today?
Other than I'm happy with it. If anybody out there can use it and take advantage of it, it is a blessing. Especially people like me that cannot walk very far, in and out of hospital all the time. It's very important if you're a reader because, for goodness sake, there's nothing much on television. Yes, so please use the home library. The girls are absolutely wonderful.
Well, Rosemary, thank you so much for being part of our
You're welcome.
episode today on Checking In. We really appreciate your time and your insight into the home library service.
Thank you.
It sounds like the home library service has a real positive impact in Rosemary's life.
We next visited Jean. Listeners, please note you'll hear birdsong as we recorded close to her beautiful garden. Thank you, Jean, for joining us on the Checking In podcast today. It's lovely to be with you. Mm-hmm. And we understand that you've been visiting libraries generally for a long time. Why do you visit the library in the Barossa?
Well, I visit here in the Barossa because of the choice I've got of books, DVDs, magazines, any subject that I want. The girls will find it for me if I can't find it. I give my information to the staff and they're very good at finding what I want.
And I understand you're a client of the home library service. Can you tell us what the home library service is?
The home library service means a lot to me because I'm no longer able to go to the library because I'm not driving. And the home library girls are wonderful at providing me with an array of information, books, magazines, DVDs. And I have a wide range of interests which I call upon them to find something for me to read about it or to learn. And they're really wonderful at providing what they think I might need.
Is it really important for you, Jean, to have that social check-in and that visit every month?
Yes, I enjoy seeing somebody come to get my book.
And so some of the items, do you choose yourself or do you just give a list of topics that you're interested in to, maybe is it a volunteer or a staff member?
Both. If I have a particular choice, Kings and Grass Castle, which I requested in large print. And it came.
It's a real pleasure to select for Jean as well because she has such a wide variety of interests, and I'm sure that some of our books support your hobbies with gardening and artwork. I mean, you're an amazing artist and you have so many different art styles.
Incredible.
It's just really good to see someone with such a variety of interests.
Yes, well, I get books on art and I see art from all over the world just sitting here in my chair.
That is a wonder, absolutely. And Jean, have libraries been a part of your life for a long time?
Certainly. When I was a child, going to primary school, I won an award of some sort which enabled me to go to the Renmark Library and choose my own book. I rode my bike into the town 3 miles with a little library bag to choose my books. That went on all my life really. Then transferring here to Newry, I suppose I've been coming here 40 years or more to the library,
that's
probably
amazing.
quite a bit more.
Yes.
And it is a big part of my life. Keeps me in touch with my hobbies and the rest of the world.
We like to think that there's something for everyone at the library, whether you're coming into the building or whether the library service is coming to you. If there's anything else you'd like to add about libraries that you think we haven't touched on today, that would be wonderful.
Over the years, we've had so many things to do. We had Meet the Author, which I always enjoyed going to. When we first started using the internet, the library had a service to help us to learn it and to help us to use it. So that is still a big help.
Thank you so much, Jean, for allowing us to chat to you today and for being part of our brand new podcast. And thank you so much for being part of the library still. We really enjoy coming out here and delivering items to you.
It's such a pleasure to have you on the home library service, and we really do enjoy selecting for you. And you're always so happy to receive the books, and it makes us feel really good at the end of the day. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, girls.
This podcast provides an opportunity to share the history of the Barossa libraries.
The Nuriutpa Public Library Service began in 1959. Over the decades, it developed a strong connection with the community. Following her retirement in 2020, I was fortunate to sit down with former library employee Jo Zander as she reflected on more than 40 years of working in the library. The following are excerpts from memories Jo shared. Jo, would you mind sharing some of your early memories of working in the library?
Well, my first role was at Gawler Street, where Sports Power is now. And on my first day of work, which was the 1st of November 1979, I arrived to find that the library desk was quite a distance from the front door. And I arrived in time to see at least 20 people, maybe more, lined up. And I remember the thought going through my head, oh, I'll never be able to cope with so many people. But I found out subsequently that they were actually there that day to pay their rates because there was a council person sitting at the table towards the back of the room. So that was a bit of a relief. And I've just touched on where I started, but prior to that, the Nuriutpa Library was originally where the police station is now, and I think that was in the 1960s.
But then the library moved again?
The community store wanted to expand, so the library had to move. At that point, I think we were getting close to 1986, and the libraries board made the decision that they would build a new library. That is the one that is now standing next to the Telstra building in Murray Street.
What is one of the most significant changes you experienced while working in the library?
In around 1990, our first computer arrived. It was a very basic one, which had a connection to the public libraries services in Adelaide, and it was used to order interlibrary loans and so forth, as I remember. But that was about all it did. And then, of course, from 1990 onwards, the digital age had arrived and everything changed dramatically. I think in hindsight, history will say that the technological revolution has been much, much bigger than the Industrial Revolution, and who knows what the future holds.
We always receive interesting and sometimes challenging queries in the library. What's one that stayed with you?
This is a little challenge, but it's rather interesting in that over all those 41 years that I've worked in the library, the one inquiry that sticks in my mind is a little girl at Mount Pleasant who came in. She would have been about 8, and she asked me, this was just before Christmas, how do reindeer fly? And I thought, my goodness, how am I going to answer this appropriately, because she had a very serious face. So I rang through to the Newry branch and I got Vicky Hutchinson on the phone, and I explained the situation to her, and quick as a flash she looked it up on Google and said the answer is because they are sprinkled with magic dust.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's lovely.
Technology certainly has played a huge part in libraries. I love Jo's quote about the digital revolution being more significant than the industrial revolution.
That really stood out for me too. Time will tell if Jo is correct.
Other than our regular programs, I'd just like to mention Wiggle and Wonder that is at the Mount Pleasant Library, a weekly program involving songs, stories, movement and play. Connect with families while the children learn and have fun. It's on every Wednesday during school term at 10 a.m. Bookings can be made at barossa.sa.gov.au.
And now it's time for What Have You Been Reading? Love that intro, by the way.
Best intro ever.
But speaking of books, Gab, have you read anything good lately?
I have just finished Good Material by Dolly Alderton, who I really like Dolly's work. And this is a story of a stand-up comedian called Andy, and he finds himself a bit down on his luck. His girlfriend's just split up with him. He's without a home, and he's without not much of a career either. And it just delves into his life as he tries to win his girlfriend back and tries to improve his job prospects. It was a really easy read. I read it over the summer. A great summer read. And how about you, Tessa? Have you been reading anything interesting lately?
Yes, I have, Gab. Thanks for asking. So I took a little bit of a turn to something different and read Test of Wills, which is book one from the Ian Rutledge series by Charles Todd. Test of Wills is a cosy mystery set in post-World War I England. Inspector Rutledge suffers from shell shock, or PTSD as we would call it today, and is haunted by the voice and memories of Hamish, a fellow soldier shot dead on Rutledge's command during the war. He returns to Scotland Yard and solves murders whilst battling his own guilt and trauma of active service. Test of Wills is written with compassion about a generation that suffered unspeakable loss and often in silence. I found it an easy read, a really enjoyable read, but written with a really interesting perspective. So I would highly recommend it.
An easy read. I don't think it's going to be as easy as Good Material was.
Well, that's up for debate.
Shall we debate about that now?
Great idea. Love a debate. Each of the libraries in the Barossa region have their own unique flavour or vibe. I would really encourage people to visit each of the libraries. We have one obviously at Mount Pleasant, as we've mentioned, Lindok, Tanunda and Nuriotpa, and they each kind of offer something different.
Another thing that I like to do when I'm travelling around the state is go check out other libraries and see what they've got going as far as programs and, of course, the books. Check out what books they have. And, of course, I can borrow them and then just return them at my local library. And I think a lot of our customers actually do the same.
Look, at the end of the day, you and I are just library geeks. And remember, it is Library Lovers Month in February, and even we have been blown away by the strength of feeling from the community for libraries. So if you've been listening along to our episodes and you're not already a library member, I'd strongly recommend you come on in, meet our friendly staff here and join the library.
We would like to thank our guests for being on this chapter, Corbin, Rosemary, Jean and Joe. And we would like to thank you for listening. It means a lot to us. Please like and subscribe, and Chapter 4 will be out soon.